O wondrous beast, Anira, proud descendant of the white-winged clan, you alone were my irreplaceable companion. Would it anger you to hear me call us two of a kind? Were we not, in fact, a perfect combination, you and I, bound together by a single thread, that gossamer thread we knew as loneliness? Anira, I owe my life to you. Not, of course, that you saved my life in the ordinary sense of the word. Mine is not a life that can be lost under any circumstances. It is an irrevocable burden. I will not die, I cannot die, and therefore my life was not for you to save. Oh, Anira, what you saved, I now see, was not my life, but my heart. Back then, long, long centuries ago, I was a pirate, the only woman pirate on the open seas. Seth Balmore, that name was known to all who plied the sea. Some spoke my name in fear and trembling, while others voiced it with deepest admiration. Some even called me the Righteous Buccaneer. Nor were they far wrong, I'd say. The pirate ships I commanded had rules that were clear and strict. We targeted only one kind of vessel, those opulent passenger ships the wealthy boarded for pleasure cruises. We would put a bit of a scare into the passengers, of course, maybe rough them up a little, but killing was strictly forbidden. All we did was squeeze a few drops of treasure out of the purses of those who had money, then they knew what to do with. We traded our booty for cash with shadowy dealers, and the money we shared in the world's dens of poverty. I would cringe at being called a champion of justice, but we prided ourselves on being far more than villains. I became a pirate for one simple reason. I hated the law, and I hated even more those who flaunted the law for their own self-aggrandizement. In a word, I wanted a life of freedom. Whenever I stood at the prow of a pirate ship slicing its way through the waves, and I viewed the vast ocean stretched out beneath this clear blue sky, I felt enveloped in the joy of having taken limitless freedom in my own two hands. True, I need not traffic in the fear of death and aging known to all who count as human, and because I will neither age nor die, infinite time means for me infinite boredom. Not bad, wouldn't you say? I would spy the ship that would be our day's quarry. I was always the first to board it, springing lightly onto their deck with a shout. I am Seth Balmore, now be good and hand over your money and valuables. Then, taking the booty we had snatched, my men and I would raise a cry of victory and leap back into our ship. I was absolutely free. Nothing stood in my way. Eternal life overflowing with freedom. Not bad, wouldn't you say? Righteous Buccaneer? What kind of fancy pants nonsense is that? How about pirate bitch? Of course, one always hears such jealous ravings in all walks of life, but especially so in the thuggish world of pirates. Needless to say, I knew I had my enemies. Even a child would realise that being called a righteous buccaneer could only increase the number who hated me among such raping and pillaging brigands as pirates of the sea. But I didn't care about that. I could be stabbed with a knife or blasted with a cannon and still I would not die. Immortal Seth, they called me, and it was literally true, not just a figure of speech. I won't get in your way, I told the other pirates, but I won't let you get in mine either. I was afraid of nothing and no one. I lived the way I wanted to live, and wouldn't, or shouldn't have, let anyone interfere with me. I went wrong only once, but that was all it took. In a moment of carelessness, I let them capture me. Of course, that alone was nothing for me to be afraid of. As I keep mentioning, I can never age or die. It would have done them no good to try and kill me, and they knew it. The most they could do would be to rough me up a little and threaten to make it worse for me next time. They had to do something to show their men how tough they were. They couldn't just let me hone in on the pirate game and pretend it never happened. So, I said, "Hurry up with the torture, will you? I haven't got all day." We were in a cave on a desert island. I was in handcuffs and leg irons and surrounded by half a dozen huge men, all well-known pirate captains. One of them was holding a long, thick chain. I get sick to my stomach just looking at your sweaty faces. Come on, hurry up and beat me with the chain, or would you rather strangle me? Whichever you choose, hurry and get it over with. The men laughed out loud. Hurry and get it over with, said the leader. Too bad for you, Seth, but this punishment's not the kind that could be hurried. I'm just sorry we can't stay with you to the end. Yeah, chimed in another man. Unlike a monster like you, we humans don't have all the time in the world. Okay men, let's make it fast, the way the lady wants. Licking his lips, the man with the chain approached me, and 2 others grabbed my arms from the sides. They were not going to use the chain as an instrument of torture, but to rob me of my liberty. They chained me to a gigantic boulder in the cave. They were laughing so hard they could hardly contain themselves. Just what you need, eh Seth? It's the end of the road for you. We can't shoot you, we can't stab you to death, so we'll just lock you up. We'll never come back to this island again. And even a half-baked pirate like you knows this place is not any sea lanes. No fishing boats even. And right about now, your men have gone off looking for the wrong island. We're the only ones who know we brought you here. Not even our crews know where we are. Nobody's coming to save you, that's for sure. You'll be in here forever. Can't move a muscle, and you can't even die. All by yourself for the rest of eternity. With that, the men walked out of the cave, leaving me there with a single lantern. Cowards, I screamed. Don't run off like that. Don't do this to me. But the only response was the hollow echo of my own voice in the cave. The lantern the men left behind was not meant as a kindness, but rather the opposite. It was a prop in their little drama. When it finally ran out of oil and went dark, it would impress on me the weight of eternal solitude. As long as the lamp kept glowing, I was filled with rage for the men. But when the oil was running low and the flame began to flicker, a deep anxiety assaulted me. Unable to move, I stared blankly at the flame. Eternity. This world has no such thing, or perhaps it should not have. Solitude. I was always alone. Or more precisely, I always ended up alone. It was my destiny. I could be surrounded by companions whose feelings matched my own perfectly. I could share the deepest love with another. But in the end, I would always have to lose them. Do you know what it feels like to see countless others succumb to death while you yourself are on the road of endless life? Ah, but in your case, Anira, you do have some idea. As I watched, the lamp in the cave went out. A world of darkness spread out before me, and there I was, alone. No more would I taste the sorrow of parting, but neither would I be able to taste the joy of meeting eternally without end, alone. I did not try shouting. People shout and scream for one reason only, because they want someone to hear them, because they believe there is someone somewhere who will hear their cries. I did, however, shed tears. Which is not to say I wept. There's no way that the immortal woman pirate, Seth Balmor, would ever break down and cry. A tiny tremor went through the darkness. That is all it was. And then I noticed, oh, tears are coming out of me. Really, that is all it was. The hours passed. Or perhaps it was days. In the darkness I lost track of the flow of time. There was something else I lost track of. If all there was left for me to do was to stay myself, struggling against eternal solitude, incapable even of rotting away, then what was the purpose of my living in the world? Perhaps the men who trapped me here had been right, unable either to age or die. Perhaps I was some kind of monster. Then why was such a monster living in this world? What was I supposed to do here? I did not know the answer to that. I would never know the answer, to the end of my never-ending life. I felt frustration, sorrow, but above all, fear. Eternity was frightening to me. Solitude was frightening to me. I might have been trembling. Or without even the energy for that, I might have been utterly drained. Whatever it was I was feeling, that is when it happened. Anira, that is when you first appeared before me. A tiny burst of light softened the darkness, and from the light, almost before I could wonder what it was, there came a voice. Are you too trapped in the prison of solitude? Who is that? In the light, a flash of white wings. Then, with a sudden increase in size and brightness, the light seared my eyes. Accustomed to total darkness, my eyes could not stand the glare, and for an instant they could not see anything at all. Grimacing, I clamped my eyes shut before daring to open them, little by little. There before me hovered a pure white glowing beast. Its white wings were breathtakingly beautiful. How beautiful you were, Anira. But yours was not a florid beauty. No, it was subtly different. Your beauty wore a cloak of loneliness. I am like you said, and when I cocked my head to look at you with puzzlement, you continued. I've been looking for someone like you for a very long time. You spoke slowly, majestically. Oh, immortal woman pirate, you and I shall share a single destiny. You knew who I was. Together, let's escape from the solitude and make our way together. You said, your eyes locked on mine. Escape from the solitude, the words continued ringing in my ears. But I did not know who you were. I could not even be sure what you were, nor could I leap joyfully at the invitation of one I could not tell as friend or foe. Who are you? I asked. I am Anira of the White-Winged Clan. White-Winged Clan? I had heard the name before. The White-Winged Clan was said to be wondrous beasts that had become extinct in the distant past. I have heard that the White-Winged Clan died out long ago. I am the last of the bloodline. The only survivor? Indeed, as I said, the last. Which is why you speak of solitude. At that point, almost before I knew it, a weak, almost self-mocking smile crept over my face. I felt myself lowering my guard as I spoke to you. My chains, however, were digging ever deeper into my flesh and shackling my heart as well. You used the phrase prison of solitude before. It's true. This is a prison. Being alone for eternity is a prison without bars. You nodded at these words of mine, Anira, in silence. But then you said, I was in prison too, until just now. I'm sure it's true, to be the only living survivor. I've spent far too long a time alone. I know what you mean. In the legend, members of the White-Winged Clan are thought to live 1,000 years. But even if you were to live on for several centuries, as sole survivor you could never meet a female member of the Clan of the White Wing and hope to make children with her. The clan will never rise again. The sole survivor must live out the remainder of his days alone. In order to conquer this unbearable loneliness, you said, I would need someone to make her way with me. Then you looked hard at me and said, Oh, pirate woman, are you not of the same mind? I nodded in agreement. But then I made a point of smiling and said as casually as I could, In other words, you're lonely. Your beautiful face softened and you said with some embarrassment, I wonder. According to the legend, as I have heard it, the clan of the White Wing are proud and love their solitude. This only increased your embarrassment, and you said, Solitude has its limits. That did it. I decided to trust you then and there. Well, if that's how you feel, you should come right out and say it. I want company. Company? All right, a companion. A companion? Exactly, so it's decided. I'll team up with you. That ended all hesitation. Just as you saw in me one to make your way together with, I put my full trust in you. Let's go wild on the high seas, I cried. Isn't that what make our way together means? You mean that I should become a pirate? You don't like the idea? You paused for the space of one breath and chuckled softly. I've always wanted to give it a try. No sooner were the words out of your mouth than you leapt at me. With one bite you cut through the thick chain that held me down. Oh, wondrous beast, Anira, proud descendant of the White-Winged Clan. This was how you and I first met. In the 900 years since then, we raged over the open sea more wildly than I ever had before. When I stood at the prow of our pirate ship in search of prey, you were always there beside me. We became irreplaceable partners, friends, companions, family. End.